right, welcome to my craft table. Today we're going to do an Easter decor. What I have is two of these boxes, and they're obviously from Halloween, but that doesn't matter. I've taken out the little thing from inside. That's going to be the top one. I'm going to glue them together. I have these Easter plaques that I got at Michael's. I got 10 of them for $5. I have some spackling to fill in the holes on their ears. They're obviously made to make a banner. I have one big white pom-pom. I thought I had more than this, but I can't put my fingers on them right now, so either I have them or I need to get more. I have some foam, floral foam that I'm going to put inside the top box. I have some big Easter eggs that I got at Dollar Tree, and I have some small Easter eggs that I got at Dollar Tree. I don't know which ones I'm going to use. I have some different colored paints. I have yellow acrylic paint, and then I have pink. This is called Vintage Victorian. That's chalk paint by Folk Art. This is Waverly Fern. This is Folk Art Sage Blossom. It's a real pretty green. And then I have Folk Art Chalk Vintage Teal. And I really am going for pastel colors, so I may have to mix some of the blue with some white. I know the pink is real pastel, and I know the sage blossom is a light green. I don't know about this yellow. I may have to mix it with some of the white chalk paint that I have, which is American Decor. I don't know whether I need to use dowels or popsicle sticks to make my bunnies stick up, so I've got both. And I also have some of the Jenga blocks that come in the toys section at Dollar Tree. And I think that's I have moss that I'm going to use to cover this foam, the floral foam when I put it in here. So I know I'm going to use some letters. I just don't know which ones yet. So we'll decide that when we get to that point. So I am going to put this on mute and start painting. Oh, I also have, which I just knocked over, my glue gun. It is a couple days later because my domestic goddess chores got in the way of my crafting, interrupted my crafting. So I want to finish this craft that I started. I did get back to Dollar Tree and I got a few things. I got some reindeer moss that I don't think I had before that I'm going to use to cover this. I did get the floral foam in there. My bunnies are all painted with their dowels. And I had picked up this foam letter stickers. And so I picked up 2 packages. I thought this one was all green and this one was all yellow. But surprise, surprise, when I got home, no, they are different colors. Green, orange, yellow, pink. So I actually got 2 tablets of different colors, which is fine. That worked out fine. And so I have punched out letters that say, welcome spring, in all the letters except for green because the green won't show up. And I also got some green grosgrain ribbon to put around the center there to cover up where the 2 boxes were glued together. So I'm gonna finish this. And I'm gonna put it on mute and finish what I've started. I'm ready to try another DIY. I have everything is from Dollar Tree except for my paint. I have this tall glass vase. I've removed the sticker using Goof Off, and I have cleaned it with alcohol and a cotton pad. I have pink, it's called Vintage Victorian Chalk Paint. I understand you can do this with both chalk paint and acrylic paint, but today I'm gonna try it with chalk paint. I have baking soda, just regular old grocery store baking soda to make textured. I have white rocks to put in the bottom of the vase to give it some stability. I could not find a round styrofoam ball, so I'm going to use these two and put them together on top of the vase to add my floral spring flowers that I found. I have this stencil brush that I'm going to try and apply the textured paint with. If that doesn't work, I have this kind of a brush. It's wider and it's real stiff. I have a spoon to mix up the mixture, and I have a little bowl to put the mixture in. And I have a bunch of florals here on the floor, spring flowers on the floor that I found at Dollar Tree. And that's what I'm gonna do the flowers with. Excuse me. So the first thing I'm gonna do is mix up the textured paint. Now, I've seen several people do this on YouTube, and they do it several different ways. Some of them say 1-to-1, one of the paint to one of the baking soda, and some say 2 of the paint to 1 of the baking soda. But I want mine to be pretty textured, so I'm gonna try one of the paint to 2 of the baking soda and see if it'll stick. If it won't stick, then I'll have to add more paint. So that's what I'm gonna do, and we'll see how it goes. And I'm gonna measure the paint just like I cook by pouring it into my little bowl here. I'm not gonna measure it exactly, but I wanna make enough that I can cover the vase. So we'll see. Oh, that should be more than enough. In fact, I think I'm gonna put, no, that should be enough, okay? So there's the paint. Set that over there so I don't spill it. And now I'm gonna add the baking soda. Geez, you think I could have found a bigger box of baking soda? All right. So there's 1 heaping teaspoon. Oh, that's a big lump. There's 2 heaping teaspoons. Let me mix that up and see what it looks like. That's a lot of baking soda. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to add more paint because this is really lumpy. This is almost like a thick Elmer's glue. Okay, let's add more paint. So I added more paint. Okay, this is more what I was looking for. Now it's more like cake batter. Not that I bake a lot of cakes, but if I did, this is more like cake batter. This is one of those things you add a little bit of this, you add a little bit of that. So what I have is this little candle jar, cookie jar from Dollar Tree. I have Epsom salts that I'm gonna put inside. I have a little tea light because I'm gonna make it into a candle. I have good old grocery store baking soda. I'm gonna use a stencil brush, which I used yesterday and it worked perfect. It's not a real big stencil brush. I have some gold pearl wrap that I'm gonna try and put around the top. The other day when I was in Dollar Tree, I found regular pearl wrap, this gold pearl wrap, and silver pearl wrap. So I got one of each. And I'm using Dollar Tree acrylic paint. Yesterday I used craft paint. They said you can use chalk paint or acrylic paint. I used the chalk paint yesterday and it worked fine. Today I'm using the acrylic paint. This is the purple, and I mixed white in with it because I didn't want it to be real purpley. I want it to be more of a lavender. Excuse me. So I've mixed it up to kind of a lavender color, okay? I can tell you I made way too much yesterday with the chalk paint. In fact, this is how much I have left. So I just put it in a jar and I'll label it. So now I'm gonna add some baking soda. Now, some people I saw do this said that you should do 2 parts paint to 1 part baking soda. Got a big chunk. And some people I saw do this is a real old technique, said to do 1 to 1. So I don't know what I ended up doing yesterday because I just kept mixing and mixing. But I can tell you that what I finished with was more like icing that you put on a cake. At first it was like cake batter, but then I kept adding baking soda and it was more like icing because I wanted it to be thicker. And if I had to be specific, I'd say it was more like cream cheese icing. It was pretty thick. See, this is still pretty runny. So I'm gonna continue to add baking soda a little bit at a time because then yesterday I had to add more paint. So I ended up with, enough to paint a huge piece of furniture, which I didn't really want to do. But that's all right, I'll use it for something else. Let me move this out of the way. So see, I'm just mixing it together. And I don't know what happened to my video. When I tried to upload it, it came out in slow motion. And you can hear me talking in the back, and it sounds like I'm a monster groaning. But I will show you the end result. Okay, now, say your farmhouse, that you prefer farmhouse. See, that's still too runny. And you wanted to do this. Well, I know you don't want to do pink like I did yesterday, and you don't want to do lavender, but you could do plain white using either plain white chalk paint or plain white acrylic paint. And you could do that, make the texture and paint it on whatever you want to paint it on, a vase, a candle jar, whatever you wanted to do. And then when it dries, and it does take a little bit to dry. I did use my heat gun yesterday because I had made the texture paint pretty thick and it took a little while to dry. But then you could use your heat gun if you have one, or a hair dryer. I just let it sit because I always mess things up when I touch it too early. Okay, this is looking better. And then I used on my pink face yesterday, I used my Rub and Buff. If you followed me before, you've seen me use that with my fingertips, but I know Farmhouse folks aren't gonna let that in the house. But you could use your wax to dry brush over it, or you could use your brown paint with watered down to dry brush over it. And dry brush just like you usually do. Now, I didn't put a bow on my vase, but if you wanted to, if you're Farmhouse, you could certainly take your twine and wrap it around the bottom, or use your burlap ribbon and tie a ribbon around the top or around the middle. And then whatever flowers you want to put in it, you could put in it. You don't have to make it modern or eclectic like mine. You could make it completely Farmhouse. I used kind of frilly flowers, and I used some pink pop beads that I'll show you when I show you the completed vase. Okay, this is pretty good. See, it's more like icing. See how that goes? Okay, I'm gonna start now to paint the jar. And you know, I've taken the sticker off with Goof Off, and I've cleaned my jar with alcohol. So now yesterday I put too much paint on to start with, so I'm not gonna make that mistake today. And I find the dab method is best. Just dab and don't put too much on. Otherwise you have to go back and spread it out, or go back and use a paper towel and dab and rub the paint off. Okay, I hope you can see what I'm doing. Let me see. See, that's all you do. I'm just putting my stencil brush barely in the paint and dabbing it on to get that textured look. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna do a little bit more and then I'll come back. Okay, I stuck a paper towel in there so you can kind of see it. I think the most important thing is not to put too much paint on the tip of your stencil brush. If you get too much paint on there, go back and pick it up and spread it out. It's not that it runs, it's just that it will just sit there. It won't dry. So don't put too much paint on the tip of your stencil brush. Oh, see that? See how much paint I got there? Now I gotta go spread that out. And I can spread it up, and I can spread it to the side, and I can spread it down. And that will be better if I do it that way. I still want to have a lot of peaks and valleys. I still want it to look real textured. And I can tell you this takes a little bit of practice because I'm doing better today than I did yesterday. Okay? All right, I'm gonna do a little bit more and I'll come back. Hey, you wanna know what else I just found out? Putting that paper towel in there, I did it so you could see, but it also is helping me see spots that I'm missing. So that's a good idea. If you put a paper towel inside and hold it up, you can see spots that you're missing. And if you're missing spots, I found this out yesterday, use the tip, just get a little bit of paint on the tip of your stencil brush and go in and just touch it with the tip. And that way you won't remove any paint, but you'll be able to put paint on just with the tip. When I say tip, I should say side, the side of your stencil brush, like this, look. See, I'm just using the side, and that will create like a peak, a mountain, because that's what you really want, is those mountains. That's the texture, okay? All right. Yeah, putting a paper towel in there is really helping me see spots that I'm missing. Okay. Okay, I've got it covered all over. Now the thing is, oh, there, I missed a spot. When you use the napkin or the paper towel inside, you'll wipe off the paint on the lip. So when you set it down, you'll have to go over the lip to make sure you got the lip all covered, but that's fine. Now it does take a while to dry, so I'm just gonna let it alone, let it dry. Probably for a couple hours. And then I'll come back and do the pearl around the top and put the Epsom salts in and the tea light. I'll show you the vase that I did yesterday. Now I know Farmhouse people, take a deep breath because this is not gonna be your taste at all. But this is the vase I did, and see how I did the Rub and Buff gold, okay? And that I just put on my fingertips. I got it at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I'm sure you can still get it I got it a long time ago, but if you clean the cap off real well and put the cap on real tight, it'll stay. And I use the chalk paint pink, and then I just put flowers in the top, and see the little pink pop beads I put in. I found those at Hobby Lobby too, not Hobby Lobby, Dollar Tree too. And I just made a little vase out of it, and I just wanted to try the texture painting, and this was my first attempt, and it really did come out good. It was very easy. It's kind of a learning process. Today was much easier, and I didn't waste as well. I still have a lot of paint left, but that's okay. I'll find another little jar and put it in and use it for something else. But like I said, if your farmhouse, do it in white, and then use your wax paint, they always call it Waverly Wax. Waverly's the brand name. And brush over it, or your brown watered down paint and brush over it, and your twine to tie a bow around it, and then use whatever flowers you prefer for your bouquet, and you'd have a real pretty farmhouse vase using textured painting. So that is it. I'll come back and show you what the candle looks like at the very end. All right, this has been given about an hour to air dry, so it's pretty dry. I'm ready to put the pearl beading around the top. And remember, my crafts are just to give you an idea. You don't have to do it exactly like mine. You don't have to go out and buy a vase. Maybe you have a vase sitting in the back of one of your cupboards that you aren't using. Go and get it out. All you need is a little paint and a couple teaspoons or tablespoons of baking soda, which is really inexpensive, and a paper bowl, and some kind of stir stick, like a popsicle stick. You don't have to have a stenciling brush, just an old brush that's kind of stiff. Come on, stick on there. I think the most important things to remember with this craft is to pounce the paint on. Don't put too much paint on when you start out. Put a paper towel inside the glass so you can see if you're missing spots, and let it air dry for at least an hour before you start to touch it. But if you have some paint, chalk paint, acrylic paint, some baking soda, some kind of throwaway bowl, although acrylic and chalk paint will wash out, mix it up and try it. I can tell you the second time I did, it was much easier than the first time. It was a little bit of a learning process, but heck, the first one came out just fine, and yours will too. You don't have to do it exactly like mine. My crafts are just to encourage you to try something new and different, to have some fun. You don't have to put jewels around the top. You can do whatever you want to do, whatever is your taste. You can do whatever you have around the house. Just have fun with it. You don't have to have Epsom salts to put in the middle, in the jar or the vase. You can put rocks, sand, whatever you have available. You don't even have to put anything. Whatever you want. You could make this into a candy jar if you wanted to. Just something pretty to sit around. You could put stickers on it. Whatever you wanted to do. It's not hard, it's fun. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to be artistic. Goodness knows I'm not. You just have to be willing to have a little fun. Anyone can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, I'm gonna finish putting that around. I'm gonna put some Epsom salts in here. I do like the Epsom salts with the tea lights because it kind of makes them sparkle. I've got my tea light here somewhere. Not that you're gonna be able to see much. Come on, I wonder if this is burned out. We've been turning it on at night just for fun. I bet it's burned out. I'll get another one and put it in there. But there you see it. Isn't it pretty? I'll take a picture of it tonight with a new tea light in it. And that's it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, I post every Tuesday and Saturday, and I sure hope you'll join me. Don't forget to hit that, I never know which side the subscribe button is on, but don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's free. Comment. Give me a thumbs up if you like my videos, and share. Thanks so much for visiting, and remember, be kind to everyone because there's a lot of crazies out there.